Okay, first I want to give a shout out to my darling daughter. Yeah. She dressed me today because I don't know how to dress myself. Her first sentence when she was 2 years old was, "No, Mommy, not pretty." True story. So, thank you. I got to keep my sneakers, though. Being up here kind of reminds me of my first date. It didn't go that well, but I'm hoping tonight will go better. So, as many of you can see, I have boobs. They're so big that my shirt will not stay buttons. This was not done on purpose. So, my first date, I got dressed up, and it was the times of tight shirts, leotards, and jeans, tight jeans, the kind that you had to lay down to button. So I go to my mom before my date, and I said, "How do I look?" She looks at me. Okay, I have to preface this with the fact that I grew up in New Jersey, and my mother is I'm Jewish, hence the hora, and she's narcissistic, and she voted for Trump. Okay. So she looks me up and down, and she comes up and she says, "Sherry." Gotta have the pinch. Without the pinch, it doesn't work. "Sherry, you would look so much better if you lost 5 pounds. It's like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna lose 5 pounds between here and the door. So then she looks me up and down again and says, "You gotta fix your girls." I'm like, "What are you talking about, Mom?" "Your girls. They're facing different directions. They're cockeyed." "My girls? Oh, my breast, my nipples." She's like, "Yeah, let me help you fix them." No, Mom, I can do it myself. Thank you very much." So then I'm just about to go out the door, and my stepfather from South Carolina comes in, and he says, "Sherry, let me talk to you about something." He says, "You know those boys? They only want one thing. Don't you give it to them." I'm thinking, one thing? Yeah, don't you give it to them. If they tell you about anything like their special pet or their special game, get the hell out of the car and come home. Okay, got it. So I go out to the car. My date is waiting. I get in, and he barely looks at me. And I'm like, what do I do now? I got all dressed up. And he's doing this. So I think, okay, I better talk, because Jewish narcissistic mother, there is never quiet in the house. So I say to him, I think I'm going to be smart, and I say, "What do you think about those scientists downgrading Pluto to a dwarf planet?" It was the first thing that came to my mind. What can I say? He says, "Pluto's a planet?" I thought Pluto was a cartoon character. So I am ready for this great romantic date. My first date. So he takes me to Burger King. So I am dressed in my, tight shirt, tight jeans. And he says, when we get inside, very slowly, he says, "I think I have enough money to buy 2 combo dinners." And I'm like, great. Nice date. Okay, that's strike two. So then we get our dinners and we're sitting down and he's not saying anything. So I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Did you know I had a genius brother? Did you know my mother? Did you know that? And silence. And I thought, okay, that's not really going well either. So we're going home, and I think this is it. I'm going to get my first kiss. So he's sitting in the driver's seat, and I got my girls lined up. And he says, do you want to meet my pet snake? His name is Monster. It's like, my dad really warned me about this, but okay. Because I'm open to new experiences. So he reaches behind his seat and takes out a snake. But it's a tiny little garter snake. And he said, here, this is Monster. And he's like holding it in front of my face. And I'm thinking, you call that a snake? So I said, hey, you want to come into my house and meet my snakes? And he's like, you got snakes? I said, yeah, come on in. It's like, okay. And then as we're getting in the house, I realized he's got snake tattoos all up and down his arm. I'm like, oh, shit. Many of you don't know that tattoos are against the Jewish religion. So we walk in the house, and my mother is standing in the kitchen, and she looks him up and down and says, you brought home a snake boy? I said, yeah, I want to show him our snakes. She's like, yeah, we'll see if he sticks around. So I take him downstairs, and we have rats and mice, little cages. Then we have black snakes. And then I introduce him to my snakes. And my snakes are King and Kong. King and Kong are two 6-foot boa constrictors. Woohoo! We like King and Kong. So I say to him, you know what? I'll let you hold King because he's nicer than Kong. He's way more friendly. So I take King out of the cage and I put him on Mike, or Snake Boy. And King proceeds to wrap all the way up his arm, and his tail's wrapped around his waist. And I say, oh, by the way, Snake Boy, my boa constrictors like to taste people and get to know them with their tongues. So if you see him do this, he's not going to hurt you. He's just tasting you. So I found out that Snake Boy doesn't really like snakes. Because as King is like winding up his arm, he's going, and then he's just like, get it off! But King doesn't want to let go. He's having fun meeting somebody new. So he finally is like, get the thing off of me now! So I kind of have to yank him off, which King doesn't like, and he goes, so then Snake Boy says, I gotta go, bye! And you know what happened? He broke up with me the next day. I was so sad for like 15 seconds. And I thought he broke up with me because I was smarter than him. Who doesn't know what Pluto is, right? But actually, I realized he broke up with me because men do not like when women have bigger snakes than they do.